Hello, I'm Paddy from Creative Media. I'm in a very tiny studio, so I'll just show my face at the beginning. What I'm doing today is fixing a couple of these clamps. I've had these for quite a long time, and they were second or third hand, and suddenly they stopped clamping. In theory, if you put your piece of wood or whatever in there, and you tighten this up, and all these little grooves along the back of here catch in this bit here. There's a slot in this kind of crossbar, and that catches on the grooves and locks things solid, which is still doing a bit, but I keep finding this slips. Then I need to tighten this up more, and it slips a bit more and no clamping happens. Or I'll find it shakes itself loose as soon as I start drilling or sawing something attached to this. It'll get loose. So what I thought I'd try first, in the spirit of experimentation, would be to recut all these grooves. I just got a hacksaw out, put this in the vise, went along, put a few extra cuts all along there, and all along there. That's about 360 cuts. It wasn't very successful, unfortunately. I also took this piece off. This is a cross piece. I also tried doing a bit of filing in here to get these edges more of a right angle, because I figure that's got to be a fairly sharp edge to actually hold. If it's rounded off, it'll probably slip more easily. That didn't work either. So my final approach, which I think will work, would be to drill some holes in this bar here, so I can put a bolt through, like here, and that will just lock it off, and you won't need any of the ratchet stuff. It'll just hold. And I've tried it a little bit here, just to experiment on this other one. So I've got the bar here, I've drilled a little hole. Some people have been a bit worried that drilling holes might weaken this bar too much, but I'm going for small holes and like a small bolt. And I think this bolt, despite it looking so thin, I think it's strong enough to hold the kind of clamping pressures I'm going to be doing. And this bar itself, it's very, very strong. I can't bend it. So I think it will cope with fairly good clamping pressure. So first, I need to remove this little piece on the end. This is to stop this coming off. And I think it'll be a lot easier to drill with this crossbar piece removed. And just after I do this, I'll show you a tip of mine for getting equal spacing along here. I'm not going to need a lot of holes actually, because if you look at the length of this thread here, you can have quite a lot of leeway on how far this is stopped, and you've still got quite a lot of screw space to screw in. So, you know, even if this first hole is there, I can still clamp something really thin. So I might need maybe 4 holes would be enough. So I'll just drill out this pin first. Useless. Junk. I'm back again. Just removing the pin from the end. I should never use the word just. Required a saw, a centre punch, and a hammer. It wasn't quite as easy. The drill kept slipping off the position. But I've tightened up my vise a bit now, so it's not wobbling around anymore, which was the problem. So now my little trick for getting lined up holes. Well, having a thing like this is very helpful, because you can get the drill to the centre position and move the bed along. Got this for about 20 quid second hand, so it's worth doing if you've got any kind of drill press thing. This drill press is pretty rubbish as well though, because you can see it wobbles around sideways, so that's really of no use for a drill press. Probably best to get a proper pillar drill if you've got space, but I don't, so that's why I'm using this. Okay, how do I get equally spaced hole along here? Well, I could measure them all, measure the length of this and then divide it up, but I use a piece of paper. This is just a leaflet that came to the door. It's not quite long enough, but it'll do. I've folded this in 4 pieces, so the places where the folds are going to be 4 equal distances. If I just mark the folds so I can see them properly as well. 2, 3. It won't be absolutely perfect, but I don't need perfection, not at the moment. So we've got one here, got one here, got one here, and got one at the end. That'll be good enough for me. So now it's time to drill the holes. Okay, I've drilled all the holes. Here they are. And my bolt will fit through. This is just one of the many bolts I've rescued from various places. So I can stick that through there. Some people have a metal pin on a chain which they can just attach to the body of the thing. So, moment of truth. I could have actually put this a little bit further down because this is at full stretch, but most of the time I'm not going to be clamping anything that thin. I'm going to be clamping stuff. The good thing with using a pin system like this is I can take off this clamp and turn it around, put the pin back through, and I've got a clamp which will clamp things apart. So I can push 2 things apart with clamping pressure. Admittedly, this end isn't great for attaching to anything, but that could be useful for something. But the question, of course, is do they actually work? Are these tiny bolts actually strong enough to deal with any clamping pressure? Well, I'm going to go and risk life and limb and find out. Well, I think that works.